Okay, everybody, Mike Lieberman back with the 10-second interview show. If you like what we're talking about, do humanity a favor and like and subscribe below. Okay, with that, I am joined by Dr. Charles Lieberman, Chief Investment Officer, Advisors Capital Management. Yes, we are related. It is called the 10-second interview show. Why? Because, Chuck, I'm going to give you 5 questions. You got 10 seconds to answer each one about what is going on, in large part with tariffs, because the risk now is that they may be canceled. First off, market doesn't like them when they get announced. They could be inflationary. Then they're bringing in a bunch of revenue. Market loves them. Now we may lose them, and the market is selling off, and yields are shooting higher. Chuck, if tariffs are pulled back, are deemed to be illegal by the court, what should the Trump administration do? 10 seconds. Go.
They'll fight that. And of course, even if the Supreme Court agrees with the lower court, they may have to pass some piece of legislation to allow them. So this is not over by a long shot, and I suspect they'll ultimately be imposed.
All right, so let's just take worst case scenario here for a sec. They're not imposed, right? They're deemed illegal, and the Supreme Court says that they need to give out refunds, right? They need to give the money back, the 170 billion or 100 billion or however much has been collected so far. That ends up having to go back to these countries. U.S. is like kind of financially strapped. How are we paying for that?
Well, we can issue debt to make up the difference. That's always a possibility. But the markets won't like that, for sure.
Is that why yields are moving higher? But all of a sudden we're issuing more debt?
Absolutely. Yeah, the fear is that that's exactly what's going to happen, and so the Treasury will have to refund the money and issue debt to come up with the money, come up with the cash.
So not only, this is the fourth question, we're moving fast, like not only could tariffs, if this goes against the administration, this could be counterproductive versus the idea of raising revenue.
Well, it certainly doesn't accomplish what the administration wants, which is to try to level the playing field with our trading partners. So they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out another way to accomplish that. And in the meantime, they may have to come up with dollars to reimburse foreign countries. None of that's desirable.
All right, let's pivot real quick. You had an article in Barron's this weekend where you were talking about the government taking a piece of Intel in exchange for capital, right? If the government was going to fund the CHIPS Act or fund the building of a warehouse or chip development or whatever it was going to be, they took a piece of Intel. I don't know, I think the number was like 10% of Intel, something like that. Now they're talking about, Howard Lutnick's talking about perhaps taking a piece of Lockheed Martin, perhaps taking a piece of defense contractors. 10 seconds or less. Maybe I'll let you go a little longer because it's like a long question. 15 seconds, maybe even 20. Should the government be taking pieces of companies that they do business with? Go.
So if they give the grant, I can see the government accepting something in return, like a piece of the ownership. That's fine with Intel. Extending that logic to Lockheed Martin, just because Lockheed Martin does business with the government demanding a piece of Lockheed Martin, to me, that's going a bit far, and I really wouldn't be comfortable with that. Even with Intel, it's got to be a part of the deal that the government doesn't tell Intel how to go about its business. That would be a bad idea for bureaucrats to try to make those decisions.
I mean, so, all right, bonus question, number 6, because it's an interesting topic. Is this the creation, though? Is this what the sovereign wealth fund becomes funded with, right? Ownership of companies that the government takes a piece in? And does this sort of imply that if you do business with the government, you need to be prepared to give up a piece of your business? Like, the government does business with a lot of companies. How do you determine who's given up a piece to the government in exchange for business and who's not? And this seems like a very slippery slope and maybe not a great idea. But if the U.S. wants to build a sovereign wealth fund, is this a way to do it? And is this a good way to do it? Take us home, Chuck. Take us home!
It's fine as long as the government doesn't tell companies how to run their business. That's where the government, in my mind, crosses the line. It's one thing for the government to make an investment in the private sector and participate along with everyone else in the private sector. I think that's okay. It's where the government goes beyond that and tells the companies, I want you to locate your plant here, or I want you to hire X number of thousand workers in that plant, or source your raw materials from this company. That is a bad idea. That's getting close to socialism, and it always founders. It's a terrible idea. Bureaucrats make political decisions, not economic decisions.
All right, so real quick recap. Let's get into it. Congress need to pass a law if you want to support those tariffs, push Trump through no matter what. Yields going higher because it's possible refunds are due. And it's not a great idea for the government to take pieces of companies, at least if you're going to tell them what to do. All right, 10-second interview show. Fantastic. Wrapping up another episode. Like and subscribe below. We love you.